Jai Masters. Like everything else in life, spiritual growth means different things to different people. There are different levels of growth, different rates of growth, etc., etc. There's a thing called tapasya in yoga, in India. It means intense practices. You're doing tapasya. There was a great master, Upasani Maharaj. The great ones are pretty crazy, that had him build a bamboo cage that was just as wide as his body, and he would get in it and stay in there. They'd feed him through the bars, the bamboo bars, and he would stay in there. And somebody asked him once, "Why are you doing that?" And he said, "If you can't get past your body, you can't get past your mind." These are the types of intense tapasyas that many of these great masters went through. You don't have to do that. I don't want to see any bamboo cages. And I don't even want to teach you about tapasya. There are people who do. Why? There are ways to work your way through yourself that are much more gentle, much more gradual, and permanent. In other words, if you can reach a state that it's not an experience you had, or after 2 weeks of solid meditation, or this, that, or the other thing, I experienced this light, and I experienced this experience, and I'm here to tell you about it. That's because you're not still there. If you were still there, you would just be there. So those type of experiences are very overrated. If you're talking about a spiritual experience in the past, you didn't have a true spiritual experience. You had an experience, but you didn't get to stay there. True yoga, true spiritual teachings teach you that what you're looking for is not an experience, it's a state of being. We all have states of being. Most of them are not so comfortable. How hard do you have to work to have your mind bother you? How hard do you have to work to have emotional issues? How hard do you have to work to have things from your past that were uncomfortable come back up? That is your state of being. It's where you're hanging out. It's where you are right now. True spirituality talks about that and says, how would you like that state to be constant love, constant joy, constant inspiration, constant clarity, without any effort? And you say, how can it be without effort? Where you are right now is without effort. You have no trouble being screwed up. You have no trouble being weird, do you? And the world doesn't know how weird you are. You would never let that out, okay? But you know. You're in there. You know what goes on in there, don't you? How would you like what naturally went on in there, what I said? Just a constant upward flow of Shakti, of Chi, feeding you, raising you, and no matter what happens, that's always going on. Then you interact with what's happening. Right now, listen to me, no matter what happens outside, first you interact with your inner state. You interact with how it hits you. If somebody insults you, you interact from a place of insult. What if when the person said those insulting words, you thought it was adorable? This is fun. No one ever said anything so mean to me. You win. You get the award. And you mean it because it didn't touch your state. Just like what happens now, you still get your natural state. You don't have to work to make it come up the way it comes up, do you? You can reach a state where your state is this higher state. The other one's not there anymore. And if it is, it's fun. Look, he got angry. It's not anything you have to do anything about. That's what you're being taught. That's true yoga. That's true spirituality. A permanent state of being that's risen up to where you don't have to do anything. You want to meditate? Meditate. It's a natural thing to do. It doesn't matter. You're going to stay in that state. Somebody was asked Ramakrishna, fully enlightened, great, he's my hero. He's God man, he's just gone, all right? But he still did his sadhana. He still every morning did this, and every evening did this, and he worshipped the goddess Kali, and he did all this stuff. And somebody once asked him, Master, you are so far gone beyond this, why do you still do these things? He said, I don't know, I've just always done them, so I do them. He wasn't trying to get anything. He wasn't trying to do anything. He could do something. Might as well do that. That's where I want you. And that is what you're capable of. And don't you dare doubt it. But you have to start from where you are. You have to start from seeing, this is a mess in here. It's very personal. Like AA. My name is George, and I have problems. Okay? Seriously. Just you start just right there. Yes, I do. I have problems. Like somebody once said to me, I'm always saying positive thoughts. Why? Because they'd be negative otherwise. Trying to drown out the negative. I want to raise it to where it isn't negative, to where it is positive. Not that you're working to make it be that way and keep it that way and so on. Wouldn't you like that? You're capable of that, period. You're 100%, every one of you are perfectly capable of that state. So what does one do? How does one reach such a state? You start with simple things. I always teach you at the end, but I'm going to do it at the beginning here. When you play the piano, want to learn the piano, you learn scales. You do not learn Mozart or Beethoven, or you ain't going to get there. When you learn to play tennis, you get a coach or a ball thrower, and you do this thing called practice. And you don't start off playing the Williams sisters or Borg or somebody. You start off with things that you are capable of learning. Otherwise, you'll quit. They'll stop doing it. I can't do this. I can't do this. It is the same thing with your spiritual growth. First, you have to start off understanding, and this is hard for you, your inner state. And you know what I mean? No games, no facades. You're in there. Your inner state is the way it is because you made it that way. There's no one else in there. If you're living in your house by yourself and there's pizza crust all over the place and roaches, you did that. Now you give me all the excuses you want. Yeah, but my husband left me, and but this happened, and but I hurt myself. Right? You can do all you want. You did. If your husband left you, you did what you did inside because your husband left you. He ain't in there. No one's in there. My kids disappointed me? No. Your kids did something. You inside created a state of disappointment. Your kids did not do that. What they did was out here. You live in there. So that's the starting position of this deep talk we're going to have today, which is you're in charge. That's your inner environment. It's nobody else's. Your parents are not in there. Your kids are not in there. Your husband or wife are not in there. Your boss is not in there. You know what else shouldn't be in there? Your past. Why? Because it's over. Why in the world would you... Not only do you store your past in there, you don't store your whole past in there. You only store the things that bothered you. And some things that you liked a lot, you keep. But I told you last time, check it out. Don't believe me. You check out the ratio between what you stored in there from your past that bothered you versus what you stored in there from your past that really turned you on. Probably 1,000,000 to 1. And you know which one is the one. Okay? Every single thing that ever bothered you, the tiniest thing in the world that bothered you, you didn't accept it. No, I don't want this to happen. I don't like how you talk to me. I'm never going to talk to you again. I don't want to take this class. Why? Because there's a guy in here named Ben, and my ex-husband was named Ben. I had it with Ben's. All right, I want to ask a question. Look at me. Have I exaggerated? Come on. Just slightly. Maybe. Not much. Right? You did that. Ben's not there anymore. He got divorced 10 years ago. And your parents are not there anymore. And all the things that happened to you in your childhood are not there anymore. Anything you still have going on inside of you, you did that. You did not do the event, but you stored that event inside of you. Not all events stayed in there. I told you. You drive by lots of white lines in a road, they don't stay in there. How many trees do you drive by every day? They don't stay in there. Unless It looked like the tree that I fell out of when I was little. And my parents cut it down, and that bothered me more than falling out. And it's still in there, isn't it? Why? Why is that tree still in there? Because you kept it in there. You used your will to say, no, I don't want this to have happened. So I don't want this to have happened, so I'm going to make sure I remember for the rest of my life that it happened. Like psychology talks to you as if you don't have a choice. Yoga does not talk to you that way. Yoga sits there and says, wait a minute, if you're the only one in there, then you're in charge. The devil's not in there. You're in there. And you decide. Trouble is you don't decide consciously. You decide reactively. Something happens, doesn't feel comfortable. You react by pushing it away, by protecting yourself. I had to protect myself. You protected yourself by keeping it? Is that a rational thing to do? This thing happened. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't handle it. So I kept it inside of me so it can keep coming back up, reminding me of what it was like. Why? So I'm sure it'll never happen again. It's happening every minute of your life. You kept it inside of you. So you have to understand, you did this. You're the only doer in there. Okay? God did it. Where does God fit in? God created the heavens and earth. God's in charge of the moments that unfold in front of you. But you're in charge of what you did with those moments. The Bible literally says you were given free will. That's what it means. It's really deep. But what about God's will? God's will is holding the atoms together. God's will is creating the whole entire universe. Every atom, every proton, every photon, every single thing in creation, all the subatomic particles, they're being created out of the God's consciousness, and they're being held together through all of form, manifesting as you see them now, all God, all God's laws, all whatever the heck it is. And you have free will. God can manifest a flower on a tree, and you get to pick it. Can't you? You have free will. It's really amazing to look at, all right? That's the game. That's how God's playing with himself. He created the whole universe, the consciousness, then he put his consciousness down into each one of you and said, go play video games. Let's see what it's like. I want to know what it's like to play chess with myself. That's what you're doing. But you get so lost in your own will, in your own psyche, that you don't know that you're really the same consciousness. That is literally what's going on. So what's the purpose of creation? It's God's dance, God's sport. It's the universal sport of creating and experiencing and dancing with itself. And you're it. Your consciousness is that consciousness lost in your thoughts, your emotions, your body. Now find your way out. Okay? That's a good starting point. So basically what's happening is you're in there. Things happen. Yes, things happen. There's a starting point of our discussion. Do things happen? Have you noticed things happen? Have you noticed there's weather? Which one of you noticed there's weather? That sometimes it rains, sometimes it snows, sometimes it's cold, sometimes it's hot, sometimes it's humid. Is there weather? Yes or no? All right. Now I'm going to ask you a very deep question. Slow down before you answer me. Are you in charge of the weather? Do you decide the humidity and the temperature at any given moment and whether it's going to rain or not? Okay, you don't. It happens. It's out there. There are forces that create the weather. Do you ever have a problem with the weather? Well, now that's a non sequitur. You're not in charge of the weather. You have no control over the weather. That's what I told you. The world outside unfolds. It then comes in. The world outside is not what's making you a mess. What you did when it came in made you a mess. You said, I want to go camping. Okay, you have the right. And you have a thought pattern like that. And then it looks like it's going to rain. And you get mad at God. You get mad at everybody. You get mad at the rain. You did that. The rain did not do that. But I was supposed to have a birthday party or a wedding outside. The rain ruined it. No, the rain did not ruin it. The rain just rained. It had no intention, has no will of its own. It was not God punishing you. It was not anything. It was just rain. You want to know why it's raining? Go study meteorology. I swear you could spend your whole life studying meteorology to find out why it rained at this particular time. And it had nothing to do with you. All right? But you take it personal. That's the essence of spirituality, that word personal. What do you mean? The rain is not personal, but it is when it goes into you. Why? Because you did it. You made it personal. You decided I didn't want it to rain. So you're deciding that it's a problem. How's that? Is rain a problem? If I hadn't given you this talk yet, you'd say it depends. Wouldn't you? You'd say it depends on what I wanted. Rain is not a problem. Rain is. Rain is. That's what life is. It's what manifests. I teach you that over and over again, like a scientist. There are causes that cause things to be the way they are. That's what science studies. Causes and effects. That's why things are the way they are. It doesn't mean you can't do something about them. I didn't say that. But you cannot have them not have happened, especially your past. Nobody can argue with that. You cannot change your past, period. But you can change how you dealt with your past. You do not have to have the fact that mommy and daddy got divorced and had a big fight and you hurt you when you were 3 or 5 and you're now 55. You're not in charge of the fact that mommy and dad had a fight. You're not in charge of the fact that you happened to be present. You couldn't sleep that night and you were there and you heard it all. That's just the rain. That's like the rain. It's what happened. There are causes, lots of causes, including what mommy's mommy did to her and what daddy's daddy did to him. All right? It's just there's causes for everything. It has nothing to do with you, just like the rain doesn't. But it unfolded in front of you, and when you were at a young age, you were not able to handle it. What does that mean? It came in, and you resisted it. It wasn't okay with you. It hurt you. It bothered you. And so you protected yourself from it by pushing it away. Just like you protect yourself if somebody takes a swing at you. You protect yourself. So inside, you protected yourself by pushing it away. Fine. Trouble is, it was 50 years ago. And there's nothing to protect yourself against anymore, is there? But you're still doing it. You still resent your mother and your father. You still don't want to get married because you don't want your kids to go through what you had to go through. You got all kinds of stuff came from that. That's what Freud taught you, isn't it? It all got built on top of that. All your psyche, all your preferences, your hopes, your dreams, your values, they're built on top of the stuff you stored in there because you don't want it to happen again, or you do want it to happen again. So you pushed it away. It's not going to go away unless you let it go away. Why? Because you're the reason it's there. And you're going to argue with me. You say, no, I'm not. I didn't make my parents get divorced. No, you did not make your parents get divorced. But you stored it in there and you have not let it go. That's your job. That's your will. Okay? A little more distance. But it rained and we have a wedding outside and it rained. Okay. It is not your fault that it rained. It is your fault that you couldn't handle it. Right or wrong?
Right.
Okay. I'm glad to hear. We got to get some ground rules here, right? You're in there. You could have said, look at the cake, it's melting. This is so exciting. Look, everybody's wet. You could have done that. Who stopped you from doing that? Your ego. The stuff you built inside yourself that couldn't handle something. You're embarrassed, you're ashamed, you ruined your wedding day. Instead of accepting the reality that happened, you resisted the reality that happened. I'm using big words now. Acceptance and resistance are very, very big words. Acceptance is a very spiritual word and leads to a very great state like we talked about where it's always okay in there. If you can accept everything that ever happened, is happening, and might happen, you ain't got no problems. Doesn't mean you like it. Doesn't mean you have to participate in it. Doesn't mean you can't do something to help it along once it takes place. But you can't change that it happened in the past. And you can't change that it's happening right now. Like literally in the here and now, you have no power to change what somebody just said. What you do have power over is how you react to what they said. How it hit you inside and how you're dealing with it. That's the only power you have. That's the power of will. You have that power. So there's the ground rules of why your state is. We cover a lot right here. Why is my state such a mess? Your state is such a mess because you stored everything that ever bothered you inside of you. If you store everything that ever bothered you inside of you, you're going to be bothered. But not if I get everything the way I want. Not if I get them to say they're sorry. Not if I find somebody who exactly fits my problems and so on and treats me the way I want to be treated, then I'm okay. No, you're not okay. You've compensated for the fact that you're not okay. Now, again, you tell me, you've been around the block. How long does that last? that you can compensate for your problem and it makes the problem go away. It never makes the problem go away. Never. All it does is suppress it further, put a Band-Aid. Actually, you want to call it putting a Band-Aid over it. Putting a Band-Aid over a cut does not get rid of the cut. It hides it. So that's what you said. If I don't have to feel it, if being in your presence distracts, that's what relationships do sometimes. You are so beautiful, you're so special to me, you're so everything, that when I'm in your presence, I'm distracted from myself because you are that distracting. You're that special. And guess how I feel when I'm distracted from my garbage? Better. Guess how long you have the ability to distract me from my garbage. You tell me. You've been around the block a few times. It can't last. That garbage is real. The distraction is temporary, momentary. If anything else, you get old. Don't you dare. Don't get old. You have to work at relationships. You have to work at your job. You have to work at making things interesting to you. That's because what you've done is compensated for the problems you stored inside of you. So acceptance says, instead of storing it inside of you and compensating for it throughout your whole life, running around trying to find things that turn you on, find out, well, you're not always turned on by everything. Which one you want? And you just start saying, because you stored this stuff in there. So it becomes obvious that the problem is one of acceptance versus resistance. If you can accept everything that happened in your past, forget the present or the future. Things happen in your past that you can't accept. Then they bother you, don't they? You have to be careful that things don't stimulate them and remind you of them, that you don't think about them in your dreams and wake up weird, okay? It's because the stuff's in there. What if it wasn't? What if it wasn't in there? And you sit there and say, well, how can it not be in there? Because you're the one who's holding it in there. I have proof. When it comes back up, what do? You push it back down. Or you yell at somebody. I told you not to talk about that. You know I don't like that. It means there's stuff stored in there, and it stimulated it. And instead of sitting there saying, thank God, come on up. I don't want you in there. I don't want you in there. You're ruining my life. You've ruined my whole life. You decide everything I like, what I don't like, what I turned on by, what I turned off by. You want to come up? You come on up. I'm sorry it happened when I was 5 years old. I'm 55 now. I couldn't handle it at 5. I can handle it at 55. As soon as possible, as a conscious being, you notice you don't want that stuff in there. But that's not what you're saying. You're saying, I don't want it bothered. It's in there, but I don't want to be around people that bother it. I don't want to be around people that remind me of it. I don't want to be around the possibility that if I do something, it will get bothered. I'm protecting myself from this that is bothering me. So spirituality says, you're in there. You're the only one in there. Wake up. Your inner state is the way it is because of how you programmed it, because of how you stored stuff inside. If you want to change it, you have to work on letting go of the reasons you're holding that stuff in there. And that's all there is to it. The more you let go of the stuff that's inside, the more that you're going to find out the great secret. Underneath your garbage, and you know what I mean, is the most beautiful flow of energy that could possibly exist. As you let that stuff go, you start feeling Shakti. You start feeling this upward rush of energy pouring up through your centers, higher and higher. And you feed off of that. That's what Christ meant when he said, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that leaveth the mouth of God. You're not just getting what's coming in from outside. There's a flow inside. The rush of holy waters, the Kabbalah talks about it, all the traditions talk about it, the Sufis talk about it. It's all the same stuff, spirit, chi, Shakti. You have inside of you the most beautiful energy could possibly exist. Why don't I feel it? Because you shoved your garbage on top of it. And that's why you should be willing to get rid of your garbage. Not just because it's nicer to not have the garbage in there and not have to be afraid of it coming back up. That's nothing compared to the fact that there's gold in them there hills. That's where the Shakti is. People talk about, should I practice Kundalini Yoga? What Kundalini Yoga is basically saying is, there's Shakti down there. It's all coiled up at the base of the spine. Let's force it to wake up when we're not ready. Let's force it. People have bad experiences with Kundalini yoga. I'm sure you've heard of it. Let's force it to awaken and stimulate all this garbage that we're not ready to handle, right? Deep yoga, like Kriya yoga, cleansing yoga, is do the work to let go of what's blocking the Shakti, and the Shakti will come up naturally behind it and never go back down. And you will never have that kind of a problem. That's why people ask me about drugs, different drugs. I don't tell you what to do or not to do. I'm not interested. No, it's none of my business. You believe what you want and do what you want and do your thing, right? But maybe get a little clue that you didn't work your way up there, okay? So forget having a bad experience. Even your good experiences, you don't own them. They don't belong to you. You didn't learn how to let go of the stuff and build your will and build your commitment and so on. You kind of skip 15 steps. And what happens? You have work to do. People say, well, it was so beautiful and I wish I could have stayed there. Of course you can't stay there. You didn't learn how to. You didn't learn how to let go of these things you stored inside. And as you learn to let go of the past things you stored inside, you're going to learn how to let go of the new things that you would have stored inside. And I'll tell you a secret. If I can let go of the fact that it's raining today, it will mean I'm better off letting go of something that was stored from the past. Why? I learned how to play the scales. I learned how to hold my wrist on the tennis court. You learn, you practice. So you practice with the tiny, as I told you, Tapasya is one extreme, right? Then there's this called natural growth of everyday life is your guru. It's your teacher. Life is your teacher. How do you know? Because it's bringing your stuff up, isn't it? Are you afraid of what people think of you? Are you afraid that someone may think that someone else thinks not nicely of you? Okay, well, you got problems. And they're not going to be solved by dressing well and succeeding and having a lot of money and trying to impress everybody and having your name in lights, okay? But they have more problems, sociological, psychological problems in Hollywood than anywhere else. There's more drugs, more divorces, more everything. It doesn't work that way. You can't solve your problems by putting something on top of them. You have to come and realize, wait a minute, I'm doing this. So I can't start with the big stuff, but I can start with the little stuff. I can start by saying, every day when I wake up, this is your work. That's what we're talking about today, how to actually do the work that works. You wake up in the morning and you remember, there's going to be a day that unfolds in front of me. There's going to be a day that unfolds in front of me. I did not create it. I may think I said something to somebody yesterday. How many things were said to that person? How many things were said to every person? How many events were there yesterday that influence is going to happen today? But no, you think that what you said will determine the entire day because you shouldn't have said it. Okay? Instead, you wake up and you realize a day is going to unfold. I didn't make it. It's not even my day. I didn't create the earth. I didn't create the sun. I didn't create all the galaxies. How little have you actually done? Nothing. Nothing. I didn't create the 25 trillion cells inside my body that create the liver and the brain and this and that. I didn't create the ability to think. It just was there, just like my body was there. I didn't create the heart having to make emotions. So you wake up in the morning, you sit there new every single day. You're brand new. Here I am. Hi. And what's going to happen today is things are going to happen. The day is going to unfold. And you quiet down and you sit there and say, what I'm going to do with the day is accept it. What? It's going to unfold. I'm going to experience it. Am I going to experience everything that unfolds today? Heck no. I'm only going to experience what's in the realm of my senses. Like, how much more is going on? How much more is going on that you don't experience? All of it. Thank you. All over the universe. All right? You seem to be accepting that just fine. Have you noticed that you have no trouble accepting what you don't experience? But it's happening, isn't it? It's happening exactly the same as what's in front of you. Everything's happening everywhere. You just happen to be in the spot where this is happening. That's how you should look at it. You just happen to be standing in a spot where somebody's yelling. Not yelling at you. You just happen to be standing in a spot where somebody's complimenting you. Oh, you're so beautiful. I've never seen anything as beautiful as you. And I hear you're really intelligent too. All right? If that person had gotten a phone call 5 minutes before they met you that somebody had died or that somebody had dissed them, they would not be saying that to you. but they just happen to have won the lottery. And everybody looks really good, okay? It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with billions of factors that happened before that caused this moment to be the way it is. So you wake up and you use your mind rationally, reasonably. You wake up in the morning and you say, things are going to happen in the vicinity of my senses today, and I'm going to learn to accept them. What does that mean? Do nothing about them? I didn't say that. You just accept the reality that it happened without freaking out or getting weird inside. Then you see if there's something you're supposed to be doing about it. And most of the time you'll find out there's not. There's nothing you're supposed to be doing about the fact that it's raining. There's nothing you should be doing about the fact that there's traffic. There's nothing you should be doing about the fact that the driver in front of you is driving 15 miles an hour below the speed limit and you can't pass. There's nothing to do about it. If there is, do it. Pass. But don't tailgate and beep. That doesn't do anything. Road rage. So you get centered, you get rational. By accepting first, you are now a rational being who is making reasonable, rational decisions. And if you ask me, well, what decision should it be? The moment will tell you whether there's something you can do about it. The rain's pouring. What should I do about it? Nothing. Go inside. It's all very rational. It's very centered. It's very clear. It's just not personal reaction. Acceptance leaves you clear. Resistance, you're taking your garbage. That's why you resisted, because you have garbage in there. And it threw it out into the world. That's going to come back. What you put out comes back. So you wake up and you realize in the morning when I wake up, I'm going to handle the different situations that present themselves to me. Now, are you going to? Heck no. You don't stand a chance. Okay? But that's like saying I'm going to play the piano and I can't even play the scales. That doesn't mean you can't learn. There's this process called learning, and you can learn how to deal with things. But you have to want to. You have to sit there and say, that's my objective, to be able to handle reality. So you sit there and you make it a game, and you say every morning, I am going to honor and respect reality. I'm going to experience it, and then I'm going to decide whether there's something I'm supposed to do about it. Right? So what's going to happen? You go out there, and something's going to happen. The electric toothbrush doesn't work. I just changed the batteries. What's going on? Can't even handle that. And so you look at that and you say, how is that resistance going to help this situation? I just want you to be rational. I'm not talking about religion or philosophy or anything like that. You just be rational. How does getting upset and resisting the fact that the electric toothbrush didn't turn on going to make it turn on? That reactive energy does no good at all. So it's a perfect case for looking at it and catching yourself and remembering, I just got out of bed and I said I'm going to handle what happens to me today. Uh-oh, this happened. But this isn't part of it. Everything is part of it. Everything that happens to you throughout the day is part of what happens to you today, isn't it? Everything, period. And so now you're sitting there and there's a toothbrush or whatever it is, doesn't work, and you catch yourself doing what? That anger, that frustration, that's all because of the garbage you stored inside. It needs a way to get out. So it uses these excuses. Well, of course I got upset. Look what you said to me. Okay? If you were filled with love, that's how I want you to compare from now on. If you were filled with love, Shakti, and ecstasy, would you get upset because somebody said something? No. Heck, if I'm trading off that beauty for the garbage. So it's not true you have to react that way. And so you work with yourself. Now, meditation helps. Mantra helps. All the yogic techniques help. You have a moment to make the decision to accept or resist. It becomes a conscious decision. And if you ever decide to resist, wait till you see what comes back. You're really going to grow then. I'm going to give this person a piece of my mind. They can't talk to me like that. That's ridiculous. I can't let the relationship be like that. Go on, give them a piece of your mind. See what comes back. It will degrade the relationship 7,000-fold, as opposed to you sitting there saying, I can handle this. I can handle it. I don't like it. I can handle this. And then saying something to diffuse the situation, to raise the situation, or walk away. Anything's better than you thinking that you're going to fix this situation by throwing junk up on top of it. How often has it helped throwing junk on top of it? So you start practicing. This is like practicing tennis or practicing piano. You practice being centered. You practice being higher than you would have been. That's all. It's not a philosophy. You can see that energy that reacted because of what somebody said or somebody did or didn't say or did say, whatever it is that came up in me, that is not who I am. It is an energy I experienced, and I don't have to express it. I don't have to push it back down. Well, what if I push it back down? If all you can do is push it back down instead of fighting with somebody, but I'd say push it back down. But remember that you did that, right? And let it come back up. Release it some later. But as opposed to expressing it outside, maybe you have to push it down. That's not the highest thing you can do with it. There's 3 things you can do with your energy when they come up. 1, push it back down. Suppress it. Push it back down. I don't highly advise it. It's like a virus down there. You can't even tell where it's going to go. It starts spreading everywhere. It shows up. You start talking to somebody. You're a guy, or your girlfriend's talking to you, and all of a sudden you say to her, she says, "My mother talked to me like that. You sound just like my mother." "I'm not your mother. I'm a guy." It hit the stuff, and it came up. So one thing you can do is push it back down. The second thing you can do is express it. Now, there's lots of ways to express it. Psychology and different nice new agey things will tell you, put sugar on top of it. And just, yes, I know you had to say that. And I appreciate and respect the fact that you have things going on inside of you that cause you to say that. And I honor and respect your right to say that. Right? There we go. Now we've coded it, but we still let it out, didn't we? Okay? Or you let it out. You're not talking to me like that. Period. Not talking like, get out of here. I don't want to see you ever again. You're not talking to me like that. Woo. I know you've never said anything like that to anybody. Okay? That's it coming out unfiltered. Or you can raise it. All right? But there's a third thing that no one teaches you that can happen with that energy. It's called transmutation. And it's the highest form of yoga. What does that mean? The energy has come up and it hits your stuff. So you push it back down. Not so good. Energy has come up, it hit your stuff, which caused it to get disturbed, and it came out. Or you worked with it to make it a little bit nicer, but it's still the reaction of your stuff. What if you could handle what it felt like to have that energy coming up, and you actually were grateful that it's coming up because I don't want it in there? I don't know about you. I don't want it in there. I'm not going to justify, but anybody would be like that. I'm not anybody. Remember I talked to you about, there's a state you can go to where you're always high. You're always filled with love. Well, that's not anybody. Okay? Make sure you sit your eyes high enough. And you sit there and say, I don't want this. Do you want your stuff in there? Yes or no? Okay. Remember that. I don't want it in there. I don't know how to get it out. I don't know what to do. It hurts when it comes up, right? And I'm reactive, right? So you don't push it down. You don't have to let it out. You breathe inside. You do your work inside. You can do your work inside. Psychology doesn't always tell you that. Yoga tells you that. You're able to transmute these energies. What does that mean? It's coming in. It's starting to feel like anger. I can feel it. It's down here in my gut. It's starting to rumble. You know, right? You feel it before it happens, don't you? So what do? I've learned. Relax, relax. That's what I teach you. Relax. How do I relax? It won't relax. Anger does not know how to relax. Jealousy does not know how to relax. I didn't tell it to relax. I told you to relax. That's the difference. What do you mean? You are in there experiencing this energy. Are you not? Who are you? You're not it. You're experiencing it. If I see the wall, I'm not the wall. I'm the seer of the wall. If you feel anger or jealousy or insecurity, you're not anger or jealousy or insecurity. You're the one who's experiencing jealousy, anger, and insecurity, right or wrong. That's called stepping back one step to where you realize I'm the awareness of the thing. I'm the consciousness, and it's the object of consciousness. You are not angry. You're experiencing anger. You're not jealous. You're experiencing jealousy. You're not self-conscious. You're not embarrassed. You're not guilty. You're not ashamed. You're experiencing these things. Do you see the difference? So when you learn, and some of your practices can help you do that, meditation or yoga, or asanas and so on, or mantra and so on, will help you stay centered. So that now this stuff starts to come up, and instead of getting lost in it and either suppressing it or expressing it, you look at it and you step back into the seat of consciousness. You step back to where you're seeing from instead of what you're seeing. Now, I know that sounds complicated, so the way I explain it, and what I teach you all the time is, I tell you want it simple? Relax. But the jealousy is not going to relax. The anger is not going to relax. The self-conscious is not going to relax. Don't you dare try to make them relax. The Buddhists teach you everything has its nature. Jealousy has its nature. Jealousy. Anger has its nature. Anger feels certain ways, doesn't it? You have your nature. Just because you're looking at it, that doesn't make it your nature. You're still the self, the consciousness, the awareness, seeing this. You relax. That's the deepest thing I can teach you. You relax. Don't try to make it relax. Well, what do you mean? You'll see that you're seeing it. You'll see it starting to come up, and you want to do something about it. If it's not comfortable, you always want to do something about something that's not comfortable, don't you? What you should do about it is relax. It's the last thing in the world you want to do. You want to stop it from being there. You want to stop from feeling it. Just relax. Back here, relax. Let go. Relax. They mean the same thing. Relax, let go. You can't relax unless you let go. You can't let go unless you relax. Do you understand that? I'm in a tug of war. I'm losing. I'm getting dragged through the mud. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. How do I do it? How do I fight this? All right? Relax your hands. How's that going to do anything? Try it. You relax the hands, you're not connected anymore. Relax, let go. That's exactly what it's like inside. You're in there. It's pulling you into it, isn't it? It's powerful. Anger, jealousy, insecurity, fear, all kinds of things are very powerful, aren't they? They come from below. You're always experiencing them. They will pull you into them. They have a power, like a magnetic power. They pull you. They want to express themselves, but you have to participate. So they go to pull you into them. And when they do pull you in, you say, I lost it. Don't you? I lost it. I was centered and I was trying to keep it together, but I lost it. I'm sorry, I lost it. What did you lose? You lost your center. You lost your seat of consciousness. Where did it go? It got pulled down into the stuff. The highest way to learn not to do that is not how to not have it happen. Is not to go having to apologize that ever said anything you didn't like for the rest of your life. You understand that? You're not going to get rid of the stuff that way. The highest way is to sit there and say, I'm in here. It's pulling on me. How am I connected to it? How can it pull on me? Because you're holding on to the other end of the rope. You are literally not letting go. You are sitting there saying, I don't like it. I hate it. I don't like it. Yeah, that's still dealing with it, isn't it? You're holding on to it. If you can relax, just relax your shoulders, relax your chest, relax your tummy. Just do your best. Relax. Let go. Go through the process of letting go. The process of letting go. Leave it alone. You let go. And you're going to find out there's some room there between you and it. Because you let there be room. You didn't stay tied to it, stay attached to it. And over time, you're going to find out you can let go. All right? But then someone says, okay, it came up. I relaxed. Now what do I do? Nothing. Well, don't have to get rid of it? No. You do not have to get rid of it. You were the one that was pushing it down there. But you were doing it subconsciously. You didn't realize you were using some of your Shakti, some of your energy, some of your will to push that thing down. Now it started to come back up, and you participated in it. If you relax, then you're not feeding it anymore, and it will fall off right away. No, you wish. How many times will it take? Ready? I have the answer to that. People ask that. How long will it take? How many times will it take? Ready? None of your business. It will take the time it takes. What do you care? It didn't bother you anymore. You relaxed. And the second time it comes up, you have much less problem relaxing because you committed yourself to the process of dealing with it that way. All right? Let it come up. It's fine. It'll come up when you dream or this or that. Fine. Eventually, not only will you accept that it's coming up and accept that you surrender, you will welcome it. You will love that it's coming up. Literally. You'll throw it a party. Come on up. I don't want you down there. There you are. Come on up. And then you're going to find out that it isn't just that you can relax. You can help it, but not by fighting it and not by neutralizing it. It's very beautiful when you get to the state. You reach your hand down and you say, give me your hand. I'll help you up. You're higher than it is. You're the highest thing there is in the universe. But you're certainly the highest thing inside of you, the thing that's looking at everything else, the consciousness. And you're not afraid of it anymore. And you don't fight it. And you don't want it to go away. You treat it like a child that was locked in a closet for a long time and psychologically disturbed, because that's what it is. You locked that thing in a closet for a long time, didn't you? That's what suppression is. You pushed it down underneath into the darkness. And now when it tries to come back up, it's going to have all this screwed up energy. It was screwed up energy you shoved down there. Imagine what it's going to be like. And so you learn to have compassion for yourself. These are deep states. Very different than tapasya. I told you once the Gita is very deep. It says, one should raise the self with self, not trample down the self. Because self that can be self's friend can become self's foe. And it's with capital Atman and lowercase Atman, talking about the higher self and the lower self. One, the higher self, you, centered being, should raise the lower self. Reach down there. Don't give in to it. Don't give it what it wants. That's not what it's doing. But it doesn't mean you can't sit there and allow it to go through the process it needs to go through without hating it or fighting with it or running away. You're just present. You're there. You're there with compassion. Of course it's throwing out bad energy. I stored it with bad energy 50 years ago. And I pushed it back down every single time. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? All right? And so you get to the point where you practice letting go and relaxing enough to where you have the right to help it up. And you reach the hand down and you raise it up. Ultimately, you're not getting rid of that energy. You can't go anywhere trying to get rid of that energy. You can't lock up and throw away a part of your being. What you're doing is transmuting the energy. That which is down there is screwed up, negative, hurt energy is because you shoved it into the darkness and you left it down there to get messed up. All right? Now, when you reach your hand down, you are literally welcoming it to come up and become love. The exact energy that was anger becomes love. You transmute the nature of the energy by ceasing to block it. All that energy that's down there in truth is Shakti. It's God's energy, it's spirit. But when it came up and you experienced it, you couldn't let it go. You couldn't let it go up. So you pushed it down. And therefore you blocked it. Therefore it circled around itself. And that's what the energy's doing down there. You now made the most beautiful energy in the universe, the ugliest thing that exists. If you stop resisting it, it will release. And over time it will come up. And it doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter. And you don't want inventory. How much is down there? You don't want to know. All right? But I'll tell you something. There's this thing called, I taught you transmutation, I'm going to teach you extrapolation. What does that mean? If when this is coming up, it's a certain amount of disturbance that's hard to deal with, but I practice, and over time, I practice and I learned to like the disturbance, to welcome the disturbance, to relax, because I saw what happens on the other side, all right? Whatever is down there, you made me cry if I tell you this, whatever is down there, and there's a lot down there, that is that level of disturbance that you manage to handle, get comfortable with, and let go, let's go also. If you can play the piano, you don't have to stop with one piece. Next piece is a lot easier, isn't it? Next piece is a lot easier. It extrapolates. Same thing down there. If you can learn to handle some of this garbage you have down there properly, by welcoming it, especially once you learn to welcome it, once you learn to raise it and offer it. So basically, once you're able to handle a certain level of energy, wait till you see the next time it comes up. For one thing, you'll be so inspired because you got so high off transmuting that one, You can't wait for the next one to come up. But that's because you learned. And once you learn how to play tennis, you're glad to play somebody better than you, so you can learn to be better. You understand how exciting this is, all right? Except you're not learning a piano or tennis. You're learning to raise your entire being. It doesn't ever go back down. It doesn't ever go back down. Something bigger can come up that you weren't ready for. Good. But eventually you'll look at that and say, come on, bring it on. I like the fact, if you're telling me that I went through all this and worked it through, but now I got into a relationship because I thought he loved me or she loved me, and then they did this and cheated and did this kind of thing, right? And I wasn't ready for that, and so it caught me by surprise, and now my heart's killing me, and I want to, whoa, that's why you're here. Earth is a place that souls are sent to evolve. You now learned a certain level of letting go, but you're not ready for a heart level of letting go. And so now you are ready. How do you know? Because it's happening. That's how you know. But now, right now, if I talk like that, it sounds no compassion. It sounds mean. All right? I'm hurt. My heart's killing me. And so that's because you didn't even do any of your work. If you can't handle the weather, you can't handle your heart. If you can't handle the driver in front of you, you can't handle what somebody said to you that you love. You hear me? So you just start working with the simpler things, and then you build your ability to let go. But the key is acceptance, acceptance, acceptance. But acceptance does not mean changing the world so that you can accept it. You change, it changes. There's no way you're going to solve your problem by manipulating the outside. But you can solve your problem by letting go of what's going on inside of you. And as you learn to let go, there will be more Shakti. And as there's more Shakti, you will be happier and higher and more filled with love. And the more filled with love you are, the less likely you are to resist things to close again. I don't want to close again. It's beautiful in here. But what happens if you close? It stops being beautiful. But what if it's hard not to close? Good. Then it'll mean I'll learn that one. Then there can't be more that are worse. And if there are, bring them on. I want total open. Like, I'm going to stop. I have to stop. I'm sorry. I don't want to. If I put blinds on those windows and I close them, it's dark in the room. Okay? It's dark in the room. However, if somebody comes in, especially cute, and turns the little wand and opens the blinds at a certain time every day, ooh, light comes in. Isn't that wonderful? Well, you better have enough money to pay that person. You better make sure they like you still. Right? I mean, you're in trouble because you really like that light, don't you? Right? That's called conditional well-being. You don't want that. Well, what do I want? Take the blinds off the window. Don't open them or close them. Get rid of them. All right? That's what's happening inside of you. You're trying to get things that match your stuff so you can be open. It can happen. It can open you for a while, right? No. That's fine. Wouldn't it be nice to get rid of why it closes so that it never closes? That's where we started this discussion. So these are the tiers of spirituality. The highest and most certain way to grow is to relax and release. Just keep letting go of your stuff. The one who lets go every day, constantly, of whatever's coming up to the best of their ability, wait till you see what happens. All right. You work on these things? All right. Jai Gurudev.